Hi everybody! Welcome to my channel, and this is Pamela Sage, and today we're going to talk about our journey with autism. So first, let me make a disclaimer. I made this vlog to share our journey with autism, to be able to understand about autism and and share our journey, and to make others aware that this is not a disease or an illness. So that's it. So first and foremost, I'm gonna share to you a picture about my family. This is my family. This is my husband Mike, me, Mama, and Kingston, our son. So Kingston this year, our son Kingston this year is 4 years old. He turned 4 years old on December 18. So this is my son. He is now a prep in Kalamazoo. So without further ado, we're going to discuss about our journey with autism. So please bear with me. This is a long topic and what I'm going to share. So when Kingston was 3 years old and 3 months, we took him to a place that they diagnose some disorders or things going on. So when something's off about our child, that he is not talking until he reached 3 years old, or he has only limited words to say and speech. So we're wondering what's going on with him. So we took him to special education evaluation, and we got the result on April 17, 2018. That was last year. So it's almost a year now that my child or our child has diagnosed of autism. So what is autism? Autism is known as ASD, or Autism Spectrum Disorder, is a range of conditions classified as neurodevelopmental disorders. There are two types of symptoms: problem in social communication and social interaction, restricted, repetitive patterns of behavior, interest, or activities. I also searched online what are the symptoms that we seen when he was growing up as a toddler, the moment he walked until he was a toddler. So my son walks in tippy toes. That's the symptoms that we seen to him. Walking tippy toes, head banging his head or head batting us, avoids eye contact, missing speech or words, consistent fussiness, screaming or crying in public places, sensory meltdown, lacks of response to voice or verbal commands, problems with clothing. So there are lots of symptoms of ASD. And my son has these symptoms: marked impairment in use of nonverbal behavior such as eye-to-eye gaze, facial expressions, body postures, and gestures to regulate social interactions. So it means our son has a limited repertoire of nonverbal behaviors to regulate his social interactions. Failure to develop peer relationships appropriate to developmental level. Kingston displays little desire to socialize or engage with other children. He rarely initiates social contact. When he does, he appears to be more interested in the object they possess. Kingston is not developing appropriate peer relationship at this time. Number 3. A marked impairment in spontaneous seeking to share enjoyment, interest, or achievements with other people. For example, by a lack of showing, bringing, or pointing out objects of interest. Our son rarely attempts to gain others' attention by showing, bringing, or pointing out objects of his interest. Number 4. A marked impairment in the areas of social or emotional reciprocity. Our son rarely responds to his name without repeated presses and frequently seems unaware or disinterested in other people's attempts to engage him in play activities. So, our son has a delay in total lack of development of spoken language, not by an attempt to compensate for this through alternative modes of communication. A marked impairment in pragmatics or the ability to initiate, sustain, engage in reciprocal conversation with others. Stereotype and repetitive use of language or idiosyncratic language. It means like when you say something to him and he repeats it, it's not about he's learning it. He's saying it over and over again like a broken CD or record. Lack of varied spontaneous make-believe play or social imitative play appropriate to developmental level. Encompassing preoccupation with one or more stereotype and restricted patterns of interest that is abnormal in either intensity or focus. Our son cannot be obsessed with cars but is interested in many other options as well. Apparently inflexible adherence to specific non-functional routines or rituals. Stereotype and repetitive motor mannerisms, for example, hand or finger flapping, twisting, or complex whole body movements. It means our son displays walking, repetitive running, twirling, body tensing, and hand or finger posturing, which are considered stereotype and repetitive motor mannerisms. Persistent preoccupation with parts of objects. Kingston is persistently preoccupied with wheels on cars. And sensory development differences are evident in the areas of sight and sound. So there is not a primary diagnosis of schizophrenia or emotional impairment. So this diagnosis that they made was made by a speech language pathologist, school social worker, school psychologist, occupational therapist. So for further evaluation if you have known some symptoms about ASD to your child or someone in your family, you have to seek an experts to evaluate someone in your family. I mean, a team of helpers such as neurologists, pediatrician, psychiatrists, psychologists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists, behavioral therapists, nutritionists, social worker, and school counselor. So, why do some people have an autism? That's the million-dollar question. The answer is, doctor wants to know what causes autism, so the family is affected by ASD. Researchers are trying to find out, but as of now, the answers just aren't clear. Experts do know that autism is partly genetic, meaning it starts in the genes. Genes also play a part in how severe someone's symptoms of ASD may be. So here's the journey of our son's autism. Our son has diagnosed with ASD, we felt before that it's the end of the world, or it's the end of the world as for me, but it's not really the end of the world. We don't look at someone with autism as a disability. We look at them as part. The autism is part of them. So people who had autism, they don't want to be looked at that they have they are ill, or they have an illness or disease, because it's not curable. It's undergo a process to recovery. That's the correct word about it. They will get over it when they grow up. They overcome all the symptoms that they have when they were young until they are growing up. So the treatment of these are the usual onset by the age of 3 years. Treatment, therapy, special education programs, behavior therapy. So, there are famous people in history, just like Albert Einstein, scientist and mathematician, Bobby Fischer, chess grandmaster, Bill Gates, co-founder of the Microsoft Corporation, Thomas Jefferson, Steve Jobs, former CEO of Apple, Dan Aykroyd, comic actor, Susan Boyle, singer, Michelangelo, sculptor, painter, architect, poet. My son is lucky and blessed because he was born and raised here in USA. Getting treatment and so on are not hard, unlike in other countries. We have the best healthcare providers that are better, supportive, helpful, well-trained, and knowledgeable regarding any issues and scenarios. God gave this to us because He knows we can do it. We will do our best to take care of him. We're praying and hoping he's able to live a normal life. Our advice to our son: do not mind the people who say what you can and what you can't do. Be who you are. Live freely. Just be yourself. Have faith in God. Follow your dreams and take actions. We believe you can. So why do I make this blog? I make this blog because According to the Centers for Disease Control, 1 in 68 children in the United States has an autism spectrum disorder. Autism is more common than Down syndrome, childhood activities, childhood diabetes, and childhood cancer combined. So if you have a child or children or a family member or someone you knew who has an autism, I would recommend them to buy this book when after the diagnosis of autism. 10 things every child with autism wishes you knew by Ellen Notbohm. And the survival guide for kids with autism spectrum disorders and their parents by Elizabeth Verdick and Elizabeth Reeve, MD. So that's it for today. I know this is a very long vlog, but I hope you like it. And please subscribe and support my channel. Remember, always be brave, be happy, and be yourself. Bye.